Picture this: a quiet woman walks into a bar, dressed in plain clothes, her presence so unassuming most people don't even notice her. But 5 tough bikers do. They size her up, laugh at her, and think she's an easy target. What happens next? Well, seconds later, those 5 bikers were flat on the ground, and no one who witnessed it that night would ever forget. This isn't just a story about a fight in a bar. It's a story about hidden strength, judgment, and the courage of a woman who refused to be underestimated. Stick with this story until the very end, because the lesson it leaves behind is something you'll carry with you. It was a stormy Friday evening when a woman named Clara stepped into Rusty Jack's bar, a small town place filled with the scent of beer, smoke, and old jukebox music. She wore a simple cardigan, faded jeans, and her hair was tied back in a low ponytail. To most, she looked like any ordinary woman stopping in for a quiet drink after a long week. Clara wasn't there to draw attention. She ordered a glass of water with lemon and found a stool in the corner. She seemed calm, almost invisible, just sitting quietly while the laughter and chatter of regulars filled the room. But not everyone overlooked her. At a table near the bar sat 5 bikers, their leather jackets patched with logos, their laughter loud and rough. They noticed Clara almost immediately. To them, she looked out of place, too quiet, too gentle, too ordinary for a bar like this. And to men like them, that made her a target. "Look at that one," muttered Rick, the leader of the group. "Looks like she got lost on her way to Sunday school." The others roared with laughter, banging their beer bottles on the table. Clara glanced their way briefly but said nothing. She sipped her water, her face calm. Jake, the youngest of the group, smirked. "Hey, sweetheart, you sure you're in the right place? This bar's not exactly a tea party." The laughter grew louder. Clara remained still. She wasn't intimidated, though most people would have been. Something in her quietness unnerved a few regulars. There was no fear in her eyes, just a stillness that felt almost dangerous, though the bikers didn't see it yet. Rick stood swaggering over with his bottle in hand. "Simon, don't be shy. Buy us a round." "That's how it works when you step into a place like this." His tone dripped with mockery, but his stance was daring her to respond. Clara placed her glass down gently and looked up. Her eyes locked on his. They were calm, steady, but sharp enough to make him pause for just a moment. "No," she said quietly. "I don't owe you anything." The bar hushed. People leaned in, sensing something about to erupt. Rick grinned, trying to brush off the unease her words gave him. "Well then, maybe we'll just have to teach you some manners." He motioned to his crew, who rose from their seats, circling closer. The tension thickened. The jukebox kept playing, but every eye in the bar was on the woman in the cardigan, surrounded by 5 men twice her size. Most people thought they knew how this would end. They were wrong. Rick reached out to grab Clara's arm, but in one swift movement, faster than anyone in the bar could process, she twisted his wrist, spun him around, and sent him crashing to the floor. His beer bottle shattered beside him, and a collective gasp filled the room. The bikers froze for a second. Clara stood, her posture still calm, but her eyes sharp. "I told you," she said softly. "I don't owe you anything." Jake lunged next, trying to shove her. Clara sidestepped, grabbed his jacket, and used his own momentum to flip him over the bar counter. He landed with a crash, groaning in pain. The other 3 rushed her at once. But Clara wasn't just some simple woman. Unknown to them, she was a retired military combat instructor trained in martial arts and close combat. She had spent years teaching soldiers how to defend themselves. And though she had left that life behind, her skills hadn't left her. With precise strikes and flawless movement, she dropped each biker in seconds. One hit the ground, clutching his stomach, another staggered against a wall, and the last one found himself face down on the floor, gasping for breath. The entire bar was silent. Glasses froze mid-air. Conversation stopped. People stared wide-eyed at the woman who had just dismantled 5 grown men without breaking a sweat. Rick groaned, trying to push himself up. Clara crouched down so her eyes met his. "The next time you think someone looks weak, remember this moment. Not everyone shows their strength on the outside." She stood, smoothed her cardigan, and picked up her glass of water. Without another word, she walked calmly out of the bar, leaving the 5 bikers groaning on the floor. For a moment, no one moved. Then, as the door shut behind her, the silence broke into murmurs, then laughter. But not the cruel kind. It was the shocked, disbelieving laughter of people who had just seen something unforgettable. The story of that night spread fast. The woman at Rusty Jack's became a local legend. Some exaggerated it, saying she took down 10 men. Others swore she was some kind of secret agent. But those who had been there knew the truth. And the bikers, they never spoke of it again. They stopped mocking strangers, stopped picking fights in bars. The humiliation of being beaten by the quiet woman stuck with them like a scar. Final message, and that's the lesson Clara left behind. Never mistake kindness for weakness. Sometimes the quietest, simplest person in the room carries the deepest strength. And if you underestimate them, you may just find yourself flat on the ground, wondering what went wrong. Call to action for viewers. If Clara's story inspired you, remember, true strength doesn't always shout. Sometimes it whispers. Never underestimate yourself and never underestimate others. If you enjoyed this story, hit like, subscribe, and share it with someone who needs a reminder of the power hidden inside them.